Hello and welcome to the Large and Unnecessary First Player Token podcast, and this is episode 45.
Yes! Hello!
It's a video games episode, lads.
We're going to talk about some odd-numbered
ready.
Odd-numbered video games.
Until we phase shift.
My name is Chris.
Oh, I'm Euan.
I'm Pawel.
Well done, Pawel.
Oh.
Okay.
I hesitated there.
You did hesitate because you were going to do your catchphrase.
No, because that would just not be odd enough.
You just said your name in a fabulous manner.
I think so too. Yeah.
Pawel!
Hello! Yes, odd-numbered games. Mine is number 1.
Yours is number... Well, we're going to talk about yours first.
Because,
Mainly because you're really, really angry.
Aye. Well, you're kind of to blame for this.
Yeah,
I spun it out of the last podcast.
That's it. Hook, line and sinker, that's all I'll say.
Just struggling for a beating heart to the story. You just had to rip into his favourite game.
I think it's becoming a narrative of this podcast that if I'm not around, there is minefields being just laid out and attacks being made because you're not expecting retaliation. Where here I am with a counter-attack. Which game were we talking about?
The best thing about it is that I didn't actually attack this game that you're talking about. This is just a perception. This is because you're really defensive about this game.
Can you hear the stress in my voice? That's good.
Yeah.
To be defensive, you have to first perceive flaws and want to hide them.
Is this some Eastern philosophy shit?
I'll think about it. Possibly.
Yeah, I think that both those sentences were too long to really fit into like a proper Zen kind of phrase. Really.
Okay, yeah.
Rethink it. You're on the way, but
this phrase doesn't fit on the scroll.
Yeah.
No, I think it's mostly the
Fewer
righteous
syllables.
assumption that somebody stepped on. Basically, you were talking heresies 2 episodes ago, and you stepped upon the sanctity of what is an amazing and in fact awesome video game that's Horizon Zero Dawn. And
Okay.
I'm here to correct you.
Okay, right. So while we're doing this, then I want you to tell me what it was that I said
Yeah, I can't remember.
about the game.
just while he's thinking, Horizon Zero Dawn is a video game on the PlayStation 4, which we've now been talking about for 3 weeks.
Well, 6 weeks technically.
6 weeks technically, aye, but we've not been talking about it on the off weeks. But the thought's been there.
Yeah, well, okay, let's see. Let's start by saying that I have now completed the whole game, and I mean the whole game. There is nothing else to do in it until a DLC comes out.
Have you 100%ed it?
I have 100%ed it, platinum achieved it, and have literally found everything there is to find and enjoyed every bit of it. So
Explored all the crevices.
there were crevices to be explored, yes. So I feel like maybe a person that's in the right position to criticize your undereducated take on the game that you've not fully devoted yourself to. I'm trying to offend you somehow. Am I doing a good job?
No.
Right.
All you're basically doing is telling lies, which is quite interesting.
Well, that's also a defensive way of. All right, yeah. No, fair enough.
They're colourful lies. I do.
Okay.
I appreciate these lies.
Okay, no, that's fine. I'm generally lying as a way to move onwards nowadays in the modern culture.
You're squirming. I've got you squirming.
You
You don't actually know what it was I said. You got an overall impression of the review I gave for the game, but you don't know what it was I said.
It was fake news.
Well, Chris has been known to disseminate fake
that's
news.
it. Hit the buzzer. Somebody said it. Somebody said it.
Soon Brexit will be mentioned, and then we'll all just have to go and slit our wrists.
No, but the comment about defensiveness is actually valid. I shouldn't really be even referencing your attempt at a review 2 episodes ago because it was too negative. And I shouldn't be focusing on it. I should just be talking about how awesome it is.
I'm going to stop you there, alright? Because right now I'm going to cut in some audio from that episode. And this is what I said about Horizon Zero Dawn.
Okay.
I'm really not.
Right.
It's a good. No, don't get me wrong. Right, it's a good game.
Yeah.
It's probably a great game.
Excellent.
Okay, there you go, Pawel. There you
Yes.
go. That's what I said about Horizon Zero Dawn.
Well, I would say touche. However, you didn't say it's awesome.
Ah, right. Is that what it is?
And I'm pretty
didn't
sure
use-
you've not used the word magnificent.
I'm really hoping Chris cuts a different bit of audio than what he brought up there.
I mean, I could just cut in anything I want right now.
You could just cut yourself farting, basically.
Do not give me ideas.
More farts on this podcast, please.
Right, no,
I mean,
but
just cutting the sound of a kettle boiling or something. Just
this I'm gonna say this half-assed approach that the game is alright and possibly great,
Wait,
but you're not sure.
Right, now I get it. So what happened is I gave it a pretty good review.
Which
all
is
right?
not good enough.
Which, admittedly, I said that I don't think it's as good as everybody says it is, but I still think it's a great game.
It hurts, doesn't it?
Right, but what the problem is that I never said it was good enough for you, to your standard.
Obviously, subjectively,
Right,
yes.
I understand now.
Good. I
Okay.
mean, it's important to understand
Okay,
such
right.
things. Yes.
Now that we've sorted that out, you can tell us why Horizon Zero Dawn is the greatest game ever made.
It's good that we unpacked all that, because it was getting a wee bit like... I wasn't even sure what we were talking about.
It was
there
getting a bit
5
stressful.
minutes ago.
I just like to wind Pawel up, let's be honest.
Damn, we've raised the bar quite high, haven't we?
So, okay, go for it.
Well, I'm gonna say, ever made. It's definitely for a game or a franchise that's just been released.
Yeah.
It's a stunning success, and I'm not saying this to pull it down, because even if it was an established franchise, it would still be, in my subjective opinion, that's clearly not Chris's, an amazing game. But the sheer fact that Guerrilla have until now just been making Killzone games, which were alright in their own way, and have suddenly just came up with this glistering jewel is in my opinion very, very important, and way to go. And I want DLCs, please.
Is this review purely to beg for DLC?
Obviously, I mean, we are aware of how many Guerrilla employed watchers / listeners we have, so yes. Yeah.
So are there any... Just sort of to bullet point out, are any kind of... What really floats your boat about this game?
And
more
what
than
really
anything?
grinds your gears about
Oh,
it as
yeah,
well?
yeah.
We need to know that.
Yes, okay, here goes. Because that's usually the case, if you ask me. World building. I very much like games that present well thought of, detailed, original worlds full of depth, and where you can actually see how things work and the diversity of content put in. And you're going to see a lot of gaming settings with your orcs and goblins and elves and stuff like this. And fair enough, sometimes these things can be done better or worse, but we don't see nowadays very often games that just suddenly come up with a lot of new ideas and present them in a confident way. So you and Horizon Zero Dawn, you go through these. It took me 70 hours to do everything in this game, and along the way you learn quite a lot about the setting, all the tribes in it, the history of it, not just the history of how the world came to an end and then to be reborn, although obviously this is the main goal of the protagonist, but also fairly recent history that ties all these tribes together and creates the dynamics in the setting. So I really enjoyed all these bits, and I think that they've created a living setting that I would like to return to, please, in a DLC soon.
Back to the DLC.
Back to DLC.
So, one thing I was going to ask, I mean, obviously without getting into spoiler territory, you're saying there that the kind of the history of how this kind of reborn humanity and basically the end of the old one, how that came to be, that's quite central to the plot.
Well, Aloy, as such, the protagonist, wants to learn, and this is not a spoiler really, because first 5 minutes or 15 maybe of the game, and this is pretty much, this is pretty much what Aloy announces. She really wants to learn how she came to be, why she's been exiled, why Rost's been exiled, and stuff like this. This naturally progresses towards also learning more about her perhaps mother or not, and along with it pretty much all the secrets of the ancient past. She's very... Let me put it this way, as you go through the world, you'll notice that pretty much all the tribes you get to meet and the tribesmen within have distinct hair colors, skin colors, things like this. Aloy is the only ginger on the entire bloody planet nowadays.
Is she?
Yeah.
I never actually noticed that.
Well, I've actually noticed
you've never
this.
met another ginger person.
Is that significant, or is that just a strange detail that's been...
You would think it's not, because you start playing she's always in the center of your view as you play the game, so it just becomes you just see it and you go along with it. You keep meeting all these tribes with various ethnicities, I'm gonna say, they represent. Never for a moment do you meet a pale person or pale-ish with red hair, and even that is actually that represents a bit of a story. It's never actually mentioned, but you realise at some point, oh yeah, that's actually, that makes sense.
I like that aspect of it, because one of the things that I played, basically do some of the intro stuff a couple of weeks ago, and it did seem to me that they could get away without not going too far into the kind of what happened in the past. And
oh no,
like
by the time you finish the game, to the tiniest detail what happens.
Okay. So, see, that's my worry, though, that there's going to be some big exposition dump in some cave somewhere in the later part of the game.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be great, I don't know, but...
We've all done that at some point.
We've all gone for an exposition dump in a cave.
Yeah, but the thing is, exposition dump is usually something not requested. Oh god, I didn't even catch that. See...
And I've given you the phrase.
I'm surrounded by barbarians! But it's fine, because we're talking about Horizon Zero Dawn, which is just barbaric tribes, especially the Nora.
Sorry for bringing the tone down there.
I'm being all serious here and defensive, and you people, honestly, it's like...
Well, we just got to bring the humour back into it.
Thank you. Yes, so speaking about this, I might just mention also that another reason why I believe this game is absolutely and utterly awesome is Aloy herself. Quite often in games like this, you're going to find that protagonist as such tends to be fairly generic / boring, just your guide into the setting, whereas Aloy, again... This is a new franchise, but they came up with, in my opinion, a very compelling and likable character. Thank you, to begin with. And as you go through the game, you get quite attached to her and her way of thinking about the world. You are given some choices as you go along the scenario where you can sort of project your own ideas how she should act. It doesn't really change the story much. This is not Mass Effect. Sorry, I had to plug Mass Effect in. But at least you have the feeling that whether she's more, say, I don't know, merciful or more angry or more things like this, yeah?
I did like that, and I was wondering how much that sort of came, because it pops up a couple of times in the early part of the game, just as like a wee introduction to it, and I like that they framed it as, you know, rather than these sort of like good evil choices or whatever like that, or just like a bunch of random things that you instantly kind of equate to those. It was about expressing her personality in different ways, so there's a fixed idea of who this character's meant to be, and there's maybe slight variations in how they might display it, rather than just like them acting out of character because you feel like being a dick for one, at one point.
I think some of the choices you make do affect the finale of the story, and there is, I think, a couple of different endings, but other than that, Aloy has got a fairly consistent personality through the game, and you can't really change the way she behaves and what she is. Okay. But having said that, you just, you get to know her for what she is, and she's she can be very sarcastic at times. But she never goes out of her way to be so. Characters tend to be, I don't know, noble, heroic, things like this, or sneaky sometimes, I suppose, maybe. Aloy has got her own thing going, and I think they created her character very, very well. But it's the voice work that really does it. I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn in general has excellent voice talents doing all those numerous NPCs. Aloy in particular, but a good number of other characters are really well voiced, which also helps in immersion. Yes, sorry, I was gonna talk. I was gonna be defensive, which means I should be really just knocking off all the arguments you made.
You don't know what arguments I made.
No, I can't remember any. I just remember that I didn't like the tone of your.
That's it. That was it.
I didn't like the cut of your jib, boy.
It was the tone.
Content is not important nowadays.
Yeah.
The only thing that we worry
It's not
about
what you
is
see; it's how you see it.
if others are thinking like you. Yeah. I remember one thing I was going to say, because, see, my memory actually works. You've mentioned that quite early through the game, you feel like you've developed your character almost fully, and all the remaining skills that you can see aren't necessarily
I said
too
I pretty
important.
much got all the skills.
And I agree. It does seem at first like it's easy to prioritize skills. Some of them seem quite important, others secondary, and a nice addition, but nothing crucial. The development of the character in terms of gameplay mechanics doesn't really rely on these skills that much. A bit, but not necessarily. It's the actual weapons that you progress through that really, in some cases, fundamentally change how you play this game and how you develop your tactics and your actual efficiency in battle. As you get better versions of the weapons you have, and newer weapons that you didn't even have before at all, this is where this game starts to shine as far as combat goes. When you have your full set of purple weapons, which you've either acquired in various caverns.
Are they purple coloured, or this is a grading system?
That's just a grading system back from the times of World of Warcraft,
honest,
which nowadays everybody uses.
Most people know that. I'm just being a pedantic asshole.
Thank you, of course. No, pedantism is important, yes. Sorry,
Oh,
but what I meant is your your highest grade weapons use more variety of ammunition, and with every new ammunition type, your set of tools greatly expands, and this is where you actually feel you've made progress.
Right. So, cause I think this is part of the weird thing about this game for me, was that I really was not sure how combat heavy it was going to be and how focused it was going to be on actually just learning how to fight well in this game, if you see what I mean.
No, absolutely.
And I think that was one of the weird things. I thought it was going to be less that and more role playing side of things, more story driven. But there is a hell of a lot of combat in this game. I may have. Did I mention that it's a shooter, or the way I that's
thought
the thing.
about it?
But it was just.
It's an action game, but it's focused.
Yeah.
She's a huntress. All you do in this game is ride machines and hunt machines, and sometimes also kill humans. You obviously, along the way, get to meet a whole lot of NPCs, and this is the part where you could think it's an RPG, but RPG. Well, I'm gonna say computer RPG is all about character stats, whereas there's no stats.
Yeah, there's no stats in this.
And the decisions you make aren't that important to the story. So this game is closer probably to Deus Ex in that aspect. There's a story to be told, NPCs you talk with, so you get your tales and your quests through that. But other than that, it's really just action. But when I say just, I really think that the bow and arrow action in this game, and all the variety of tools, traps, tactics is absolutely exceptional. And again, nowadays all these games are essentially about headshots. Let's just shoot humans in the head, whatever, or aliens or somebody. Whereas this game, it just does it so very much better.
It does have a difference to it, because there are different strategies and different weapons and different types of things that you'll use against certain enemies.
Every machine you fight differently.
Yeah, it's because they've got different weaknesses, basically.
Yeah, but it's not just weaknesses. It's
Quick question, about your own how you actually fight in this game. How many times have you tried to lay out traps and stuff like that, then that's just gone horribly wrong?
early in the game, I've decided that I cannot be trusted with a tripcaster.
No, that's my favourite thing.
A ropecaster became my favourite thing at some point, and stealth stuff as well. But see, as soon as you visit your cauldrons, you're able to override certain machines and they can fight for you.
Yeah.
And they tend to be much stronger at that than machines of the same type that have not been overridden. So I've actually started to rely quite a lot on that. And that kicked me in the back quite a lot because you cannot override corrupted machines. So again, even when you think you've got your tactics prepared and you're getting used to a certain playstyle, this game just keeps surprising you, which I really enjoy because it's one of those rare games where I kept changing weapons and tactics as I went through the game and just continuously kept discovering new stuff. Now let's see if I had anything else that I should mention. I've probably mentioned most of these things anyway, so let me just say that probably one of the reasons why I love this game so much is because I tend to get attached to characters and also world settings, and this game did it really well. By the time you end the game, it's not just Aloy you care for, but quite a number of people you meet along the way as well. And you get to... This game does one of these cool things that I quite enjoy and storylines of this particular type, where as you go along the way doing various quests, meeting NPCs, doing whatever errands for them, eventually at the end of your main story you get to meet them again. It's been done in a few other games and it's always a cool thing to revisit all the relationships that you've established, days or weeks earlier, and you realize, what, these characters were memorable, which is important, and in my opinion shows that the game is really well written. The game is also important to me because, strangely, it's got quite a lot of feminist, I'm going to say, agenda in it. It's feminist agenda.
You don't want to let that agenda out there, like people.
Agenda, yes, that's the way you say it.
Making it sound sinister.
Yeah, obviously, because
as far as Pawel's concerned, he's all for the agenda.
Aloy is a huntress from Nora tribe, which is essentially a matriarchy. Karja, which is the strongest and biggest and most influential tribe in the whole land, is essentially a patriarchy. And you get these tiny bits of the conflict between these two, I'm going to say, worldviews or ways of being, here and there quite often. I really enjoy that part. But that's just a detail. And there's so many other details you get to enjoy in this game. I'm going to talk about it forever, but I think Chris is just cutting me out.
We're going to have to move on.
Chris is cutting me out. Help!
You started off a completely new line of discussion there.
I have like 5 more things about Horizon Zero Dawn. Help!
Right. Okay, now I hope you've got everything out your system, actually, because I'm going to have to say this is the last time we're doing a 20-minute chat about Horizon Zero Dawn, because that's been about 3 video game episodes in a row we've done it now. We've talked it to death.
I protest. I'll keep talking.
When I finally get round to playing it some more, I'll maybe talk about it for another 5 minutes or so, but yeah, I'm just going to say that's the last time we're going to do a lengthy chat about that.
Wait until I get to talk about Mass Effect. Oh, no. Sorry, you had stuff to say as well about it. Let's talk about it some more then. No? Okay.
No, I would agree with Pawel that the one thing I was going to... that he keeps bringing up there, and I think in relation to what you said on the last episode, the quality of this game is in the detail, and I think you said something about, and I was thinking about this, about like how these kind of third person, all these different kind of like Ubisoft games and things like that, there's something about the higher sort of quality of graphics and the realism and stuff. Things do look and feel more like similar just at a glance. They have to be completely wildly different. Like something needs to be like a sci-fi game and like a medieval bloody fantasy game for them to be any kind of real. Whereas like, back in our heyday of gamings, everything had like, because of the graphical limitations, had to be more cartoony, so had very different looks. So I think we've sort of come up to a point now where these kind of games, you really have to be prepared to get into the story and stuff. And as I initially that's how I felt playing it, and then as I went on through the intro bits, I noticed all these little things, like the design of the tribesfolk, and how they had these kind of little panels on them. It's the kind of things that in a bad game
that's exactly
could
what I
be
mean.
really generic. It was just like, let's throw this bit of fucking hide or
That's
armor
exactly what I
onto
mean.
this.
If you're watching Lord of the Rings, you can
It felt
see
like-
that golden soldiers are completely differently dressed and are behaving differently than Rohan soldiers. In this game, they've done it. Not many games actually do it properly.
Yeah. No, it did feel like there was a reason for everything.
But you fall in love with this game when you see the first storm, and you suddenly get really, really amazed by the
Well,
quality.
I switched it off before that, and I'm not going to be picking it back up again, to be honest.
Going fishing for Pawel.
I'm going to be flip-flopping on this game quite a lot, just depending on what entertains me.
I'm getting red-faced again. I can see the blood pressure rising.
Horizon Zero Dawn by Guerrilla Games. So let's now move on. So Euan,
Good one.
Pawel didn't give you much of a chance to speak there. So
Well, I don't.
talk about one of your favourite.
I don't have a
game
lot,
series
because
now.
I'm probably gonna grind my own axe here a wee bit, because I'm coming back to the subject of Dragon Quest
Pawel,
again, which
jump in and start talking about this game.
which I sometimes bring up even when I don't mean to. But just as a kind of a long-standing project to me to try and work through all of the games, I kind of looked into. Obviously, you could source these on the old Super Nintendo or whatever like that, or more likely a Famicom from America or something like that. But
And if you're a true fan, you will.
that's the way you would do it. Yeah, I'm just casually arsing about with it on a mobile.
Which I'm sure offends some fans.
Oh, I'm sure some people will be screaming at their radio or their laptop. Or
Yeah, hipsters.
probably. Oh my god, I can't believe you don't own an old. I probably could. I just can't be bothered. And I just wanted a taste of the game, really. So you can pick up the first. In fact, you can actually up to. I think when I looked, it's like you can even get Dragon Quest 8, which was the one that was out in the PS2, which is like. Has a full map and everything. You can get that on mobile, presumably like a much reduced. I don't know why you would bother, because you can still get hold of the game.
Yeah,
quite
I think so for some reason I was on the iTunes store the other day there. I can't remember what I was looking for. But
back catalogue.
yeah, I think Dragon Quest 8 it costs about £25 or something like that.
Playing that
And I
on a
think
mobile.
it is the full game.
Like, that is not a game to be played on a mobile.
I mean, they've ported Final Fantasy VII onto
yeah.
mobile, so I don't see why not.
Aye, no, but I have a particular fondness for Dragon Quest 8. To have it, like, just no. But all these beautiful Tokyo Philharmonic Orchestra sounds like farted through your iPhone.
Your tiny
bloody thing.
iPhone speaker.
No, well, I've been playing the very, very first Dragon Quest game, which actually, what I was looking up just before the episode, it predates, only by a year, in fact, not even by a full year, the very first Final Fantasy game. Dragon Quest, I think, was released in 1986, and Final Fantasy was released in December 1987. So there's a fair, it gets in ahead of there. It's like The Damned.
You've actually quoted this without any notes. I'm impressed.
I made a note.
Memorised.
And I remembered what the note looked like.
See, honestly, well done.
So yeah, the Dragon Quest is the Damned of JRPGs.
Yeah, the Damned got their first punk single out before the Sex Pistols did.
Clearly there was a bit of like jiggery pokery there, where like they knew what was going on. It's like, let's get this out.
It'll be Dave Fanning, it'll be him.
Oh yeah. Anyway,
In case anybody's wondering, me and Euan do know quite a lot about 70s punk music. So
we've just gone off on a punk detour. That's another podcast. Yet another podcast.
another podcast we could start. But
So anyway, I've got on to this game. So yeah, I've playing it on the mobile. It's an old school RPG with your classic 8-bit graphics, and it is the original JRPG. It really does feel like this is the first time somebody in Japan fell in love with Dungeons and Dragons, and then decided to retranslate that into a kind of into a video game. And you are properly just plonked into this world. It's got none of the refinements of later RPG games. You start off and you are just sort of being chatted to by the king, and all the dialogue in this is full on like forsooth the blah blah blah. It's like they've just taken it straight out of old school kind of medieval talk. And you're in this castle, and the king's going to you, right, there's some evil that is infesting the land. You need to go sort it out. You are the hero. And it's proper, like, and you go out and you go onto the world map and there's the castle and then there's a wee town next to it. And you can move pretty safely between those two. Going out in the world map, you're pretty much from the get-go, you're just getting battered. You are not strong enough to take on... Well, you are strong enough to take on the first enemies, like the slimes that you find just outside the castle.
The slimes.
I mean, I have never played a game that is so grind-heavy, and I'm quite happy with grinding some games, especially in JRPGs. If it's a good one, I'll grind away at it all day. So, you're just having to keep on fighting and fighting to really get anywhere. And I've now just got to the stage, I picked it up back up again recently and have been sort of fighting through it. And now I've got to the stage where I can safely traverse about half of the world map.
Alright.
But I haven't got... like, I've gone to places where this is a town, or this is some guy that I need to speak to, and you get to them and go, you need this thing that people have mentioned, but nobody's told you where it is. It's like, and there's something compelling about this.
That's the only thing in these games that infuriates me.
Oh yeah. But it's such a classic gaming experience. There's a part of me loving it and a part of me going,
it's very 1980s.
Oh yeah. Part of me going, people will not settle for this in modern, like, people won't put up with this. What, a casual gamer's going to pick this up on their mobile and try and deal with this setup? I don't think so.
It's like the QuickTime events in Shenmue.
Oh yeah.
Like, people just would not stand for that anymore.
People don't even start for backtracking nowadays. If a quest sends you back, that's just...
Oh, man, we're not having this. Yeah. No, that's the thing. And when you die in this game, which is frequently, you're just sent back to the castle. So it kind of acts like your central hub. And like, in the sort of later Dragon Quest games, you can there's an item called the Chimera Wing, which does the same thing that the spell Zoom does, where you can just transport to towns that you visited. In this, the Chimera Wing only takes you back to the castle at the start. So you're really like, it's got that thing of just questing on for miles, knowing that, like, there are towns that you can go and rest at and everything like that, but they take some finding and some kind of getting to without being just like decimated by the enemies. And that thing of like, oh, this bit of land's fine, but maybe if I go over here, oh no, everything here is way too strong for me. So yeah, it's a very generic grind-heavy JRPG experience. I don't know if
Transparent of them all.
Yeah, I don't know if that's advertising it to anybody.
Well, probably to some.
Yeah. Like, from what I can tell, 2 and 3 I've picked up as well. I'm going to get into them at some point. And at some point kind of rank on my Dragon Quest experiences. But they seem to develop the story a bit, and there is a kind of like a background lore that's sort of starting to come in that, from what I've read about it, does sort of build up a bit more in the second and third games, and then is promptly sort of like dinged, and then the fourth game brings in a new thing and so on, and it goes more in the Final Fantasy style thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, at some point Final Fantasy gets born, yeah?
Yeah, essentially, that you have a different sort of world in each game. But yeah, that was... I don't have a massive amount more to say about it, because I don't know if how close I am to completing the game. Like the end goal is within sight. They've told you that this like bad guy is up on a hill on this lake, which you can see from the starting castle, but you can also see what an arseache it's going to be to get there. And I haven't gotten anywhere close, so I'm kind of it's interesting getting through this slog and but then also like working out how the game works and all the little things that they put in there to kind of the shortcuts that you will find to make things. But, none of it is properly explained to you. I don't think I've enjoyed that feeling since playing, like, Demon Souls.
Oh, okay.
But I think more games should have it. Just dropping you on your arse in a world and letting you figure it out for yourself.
And you're playing on a mobile phone.
I am, yeah.
It hurts. It
I know.
hurts me.
It's a first for this.
He doesn't own a NES, so...
I know. I'm not about to go out. But is it a first for this game? Have we ever discussed... I think the only thing we brought up tangentially is the fact that Elder Sign has a very good app.
Yeah, I think that might have been as far as we've got
That's
with
probably
app
the only
things.
thing we've
I don't know
ever,
if we've talked about playing actual video games on mobile phones.
No.
But it's it's another platform these days.
Aye. Well, there are some purely mobile games which are meant to be...
Yeah, but that's because you're approaching 40, though.
Okay, yes.
You're out of touch.
Thank you. I've recently turned 18.
Doddering around game like Bob Holness, not knowing what you're going on.
So, Euan, I do have one question for you. Have it, while you were talking there, I was looking up some things about this game. So, is this the port of the Japanese version or the American version?
This, well, as far as I know, see, I think it would be the port of the Japanese version.
Right,
because it's called
there are
Dragon
graphical
Quest.
differences, apparently.
See, this would be something that I'd need to sit and look at.
Right, come over here for a sec.
Okay,
Come
right,
over
we're
here.
going to do this.
Come by.
Come by. Alright.
What's the graphics like on...
Probably closer to the right.
Right,
That's based.
that's the American
That's the
version.
American version. Well,
But, yeah, because the original American version was called Dragon Warrior.
well, this is. I was going to bring this up, and there are a couple of, I think, sequel. They've done that classic thing. I think they did the same thing with Final Fantasy, releasing sequels out of sequence from the Japanese version. And things like that.
Right.
But there was a few. I think there was like 2 or 3 Dragon Warrior games, possibly. But yeah, presumably that's what. Maybe they've taken the translation from there as well. But it's called Dragon Quest, so don't go searching for Dragon Warrior.
Probably because...
It's more
what's
recognisable.
Dragon Warrior, it's the Dragon Quest series.
Well, I suppose.
Okay, so that was Dragon Quest / Dragon Warrior. Have you got the details for that there, or would you like me to do it?
Well, if you've got any details there, I mean, it's released by Square.
It's
Square
a mobile
Enix now.
phone game.
Okay, so originally developed by Chunsoft.
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 Get some
Or
Chunsoft.
Chunsoft, whatever you want to call it. And that originally came out on May the 27th, 1986.
Excellent.
I was 2.
So that is more than a year. More than a year between
I was
that
back
and,
in Poland, which is even worse.
What, worse than being 2 years old? Being 2 years old was probably fucking fantastic.
Aye. You say, was it like
I
being
don't
back in the
remember
moon?
much.
It's probably better than that.
Okay, so let's move on then, right? So I've been playing some in... Okay, so Pawel, you'll like this. Alright, you'll like this.
Is there no mobile phones involved?
There's no mobile
'Cause I'm
phones.
too old for that shit.
I decided, you know what? I've been playing too much PS4. I've not done a lot of PC gaming lately other than the bit of RimWorld that I've been dabbling with.
Which sounds like a very decent game.
Yeah, which is a really fun game. And by the way, I did finish Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon, killed all the bosses and everything. Just got to go and pick up all the crap that's in it now, and I don't know if I can be bothered.
It's called loot.
That's
Chris.
the point where you put the game down if you're a normal
In a game
person.
like this, it's called crap.
Okay.
Alright? I mean, it was a decent thing. The story is just... It's a Tom Clancy game, who cares?
Believe
But,
ya.
yeah, I killed a load of people. Presumably bad people, I don't know. But yeah, I finished the game, it was alright. There you go, there's a review of Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon. But this game, alright, so I went back and decided to start playing some proper PC games.
Aha.
This is a multiplayer naval battle game which is set during the Age of Sail. It's called Black Wake.
Black Wig.
Black Wake.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
Black and
Because there's been spilled.
Wake.
Yeah.
Now during this game,
It's an odd title. Isn't it?
I joined an RPG server and got accused of ruining the immersion. So
That's
no, that was that actually. It does sound like the kind of thing I would do, but at the same time,
You weren't trying to do that.
I wasn't trying to ruin the immersion. It's because I had no fucking idea what was going on.
Can
you
I
asking
just
too many
mention
questions?
here, I'd like to just announce that I'm not in any way associated with this person down there. It's
Yeah.
honestly
There's
there's
no-
little things you could do that would be worse than this, Chris. It's like a capital sin.
What, ruining the immersion?
Yes, on an RPG server. I mean, there are honestly killing a lot of people in Bolivia. I can understand, but this, I'm ashamed.
If it makes you feel any better, I also got subjected to some racism. So
Fair enough. Then
Yeah.
I can feel for you again.
some guy really took offence to me being Scottish.
Seriously.
Oh yeah, really did.
Where was he from?
England.
Oh, right.
But I mean, I'm not gonna
Fair enough. All right.
I'm not gonna tar
There we
all
go.
English people with the same brush.
No, let's not get into that. I just thought it'd be more interesting.
This guy was just a dickhead. I'll just say
right,
that.
okay.
But I did start just like following him around for the entire game and just asking him what his problem was.
Well, that's what you
repeatedly.
do.
So
That does sound amazing.
then,
I think this is what multiplayer
when he
games
joined
are for.
when he joined a different ship, I joined that ship as well and told everybody on the ship that he was racist. So
Check out this racist
yeah,
guy.
check this racist
Oh my
guy out.
god, Chris!
Well, if he wants to be racist, I'm going to ruin his life.
I was really hoping it would be like a Bolivian or something.
Nah,
It was
it wasn't,
like,
wasn't. Anyway.
fucking Caucasian.
Let's let's get into this game. So yeah, it's set during the Age of Sail. This game, right now, this is early access. This game is full of bugs and glitches and stuff like that. But just like sort of Dragon Quest, like you were saying, you just get dropped into this game with no real tutorial or anything like that. So I got dropped into this game, found myself on the deck of a ship, which had loads of cannons on it. It had little, I don't know, smaller sort of cannon things on the side of the ship. There's supply boxes lying somewhere. You could go downstairs into the hold of the ship. There's more cannons there. And I just, it doesn't tell you what you're supposed to be doing other than the fact that you know that you're either on the British side or the pirate side. Okay. So if you're on the British side, you've got to try and destroy the pirate ships. How you get about doing that, who knows?
Is this like viewed from a first-person perspective, or?
Yes.
Right.
This is first person.
Are you like just a sailor or some sort of?
So
officer?
yeah, so you're a sailor. But what happens is that when a game starts, there are depending on the game that you're playing, but pretty much I think every single game I played was 3v3 in terms of number of ships. So each ship you get to nominate a captain. So people can put themselves up to be captain.
Sorry, so is everybody on this ship a person?
Yeah, it's real
NPCs?
people. Yeah, there's real people. There's multiplayer naval battles. All right. So you'll get a captain, and the captain can use the wheel, so they can steer the ship and decide how fast they'll go and stuff like that. They've also got a command wheel, so they can give out orders. It's just little symbols that basically come up on everybody's screen to say, okay, load the port cannons, or load the starboard cannons, or like repair the ship, or prepare for ramming, or stuff like that. So it's encouraged that the captain has a microphone, though. So here's what happens. If you're not the captain, you're just a grunt on the ship, basically. So you've got to do all the running about, loading the cannons, making sure all the supply boxes are stocked so that you've got enough like gunpowder and stuff like that lying near the cannons, repairing the ship, like I said, manning the pumps if you start taking on water, all of these things. So you're basically just running about crazy on this ship, just like, fuck, load that cannon, load this cannon, just push that cannon out, get ready to fire it. And the captain's generally like the only person that can really see what's going on from his point of view, because I mean it is simulating like actual naval battles. Yeah. It does it a bit tongue in cheek as well, though. I mean, if you watch the actual video for this game, a lot of the video, like the preview video for the game, a lot of it is just people getting hit by cannonballs and being blown off the side of a ship, because it's just it's supposed to be a little bit silly. And to take that further, like if you're on the British side, your healing potion is a cup of tea.
All right.
And if you're on the pirate side, it's a bottle of rum.
Of course.
So yeah, like when I got dropped into this game, I had no idea what was going on. I was just like, well, how the hell do I load this cannon? What do you do? Because you've got to, put the gunpowder in. You've got to put a cannonball in it. You've then got to get your ramrod out and ramrod the cannon, basically.
Get your ramrod out, Chris?
Yeah, I've got to get my ramrod out. You've got to then push the cannon forward, and then you can actually like get a sort of point of view thing on it when you click on it, so that you can see where you're firing. But you can't actually move the cannon itself, though, so you can't change which way it's pointing. It's only going to go straight ahead, so you've just got to try and fire at the right time when whatever ship you're firing it comes in line.
That's pretty needlessly limited.
Yeah, but
let's try to simulate actual.
That's what it is.
Actual gun would be aimed.
When you actually fire, you actually ignite the thing, and it takes like 2 or 3 seconds before the cannon actually goes off, so you have to time it. Because if the ship's up like quite far away or whatever, then you've only got a small window of opportunity for your cannon to actually hit.
Can you like lower and raise the cannon?
Nope.
It's just
straight ahead.
All right.
And then once that cannon fires, you've then got to reload it again. But like I say, eventually your supply box is going to run out, so somebody's going to have to go off and restock that, or that's kind of screwed. You're not going to be able to fire that cannon unless you steal somebody else's supplies.
So it's less of a shooter and more of a sort of maintenance.
Yes.
Okay.
So when holes start getting blown in your ship, you've got to then run about repairing it. Mm-hmm. So it'll tell you, it comes up at the top of the screen, it'll say, there's 7 holes in the ship and your ship's sinking. Okay, so you've got to go and repair these holes, and you've got to have other people that just stand at the pumps, and you just press E and just look at the pump, and it just goes up and down. But you've got to stay there to make sure that the water keeps pumping out of the ship, otherwise you're going to sink.
Is it just the captain with the mic and everybody else is mute?
Oh no, everybody can have a mic.
Okay.
Which is when all the arguments start. Aye, the game is chaotic. It is. It's crazy, because you get that thing where you've got 7 people, or on the bigger ships you've got 14 people, all running about trying to like do various things, and then the captain will say something like, "Okay, ready the cannons on the port side," and everybody's doing something else.
And you know what?
And they just assume that somebody else will do it.
Suddenly, I'm not surprised anymore that you had an argument in this game, because it sounds like a perfect environment for it.
Oh, yeah.
But one of the interesting things is that, like, if you're on the bigger galleon ships, which has got like 14 people on them and much more cannons, like most of the cannons are below the deck, and you can't see anything below the deck really. Mm-hmm. So you've basically just got to listen to the captain's orders. So you have got to load your cannon up on, say, like if the captain says load the port side, get ready to fire, and then just take his word that you're firing at the right time. So he says fire, you just go, well, I've just got to go now, so it's quite interesting that. But there's close combat and stuff like that. You can ram into other ships and then like try and board them, because the whole purpose of this whole endeavour is that you've got to try and kill as many people as you can, because each side has got the same number of tickets, and if somebody dies, it uses up a ticket to respawn them, and if they run out of tickets, they've lost.
Right.
So getting on board other ships and just killing everybody on them, and then letting them respawn, just continually killing them, basically, is an easy way to get them to lose a lot of tickets.
So can you actually down a ship as opposed to...
Oh yeah, you can sink ships.
Okay.
You can sink ships, but when the ship sinks, it just respawns. But like everybody on that ship dies, so all those tickets are lost. Well, the thing is, you die, but you float about in the water for a good 30 seconds before you die, so you're pretty much useless while you're there. You can suicide though, so do that. Do that if you're floating about in the water, just suicide. So yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting. I mean, there's other things, like there's anti-sail guns. They're just little guns on the side of the ship that you can shoot at people's sails to tear them apart. But there's a really annoying bug that if you're in one of the smaller ships and you try and climb up the rigging to repair the sails, sometimes it just kills you.
That's not ideal.
It's not good, because if that bug, it only seems to happen sometimes, but if it happens once, it happens all the time on that ship. And it just makes it sort of really annoying if you're on one of those ships, because if your sails are knackered, you can't go very fast. So it is a really annoying bug, and I really hope that they fix that soon. I get the feeling with this game, right, that they really wanted to make something that was just a bit silly fun. Like, you could take it seriously, but it's mostly been made as a bit of a laugh, just a bunch of people just like, oh, isn't this great fun? So many people take this game far too fucking seriously.
It does sound like it.
Alright, way too I've been on board some ships with some like captains that have almost made me fall asleep with the tedious like roboticness of their orders, just like load port cannons, prepare to fire the cannons, okay, everybody load the port cannons again, get ready to fire, I'm going to swing round, we're going to do the starboard cannons now. And you're just sitting there and you're like, what the
why is that even role playing?
Oh yeah. And the first time that I basically got nominated as the captain, by basically when you put yourself up for captain, you can type a small thing to tell everybody. I just wrote fuck off, and they all voted me as captain. And the first thing I did was rename the ship HMS Bobag and made it purple, because you can do that when you get nominated as captain. You get to change the colour of the ship and everything.
Yes.
And then the first thing I did was, right, I'm in charge now. Do what you're fucking told, or you're going overboard. And then some American guy just went, I like this captain.
This is a real captain.
Yeah, this is the kind of captain we want.
Oh no!
You got to be able to take charge.
It's
of
the big vote all over again.
And I just gave up on cannons altogether when I was captain. I just says, okay, ramming speeds, straight into the side of everything that I could see. And actually, my most successful endeavour as captain is when I was the only person on the ship. Because all I could do was ram, so I was just causing trouble, just slamming into the side, because everybody looked at my ship and went, there's one guy on that ship, there's no point in destroying that ship, so nobody was shooting at me. So all I was doing was ramming into the sides of all the enemy ships.
Why were you alone?
Because I went on a server that didn't have a lot of people on it, and I just joined a ship that had nobody on it. So I just went, okay, fine, I'll do this myself. But every time we ram something, you break the nose off, so you have to go and repair the nose before you can start moving again. So I was just ramming into things, running out, fixing all the holes, pumping all the water out, repairing the nose, getting my speed back up, ramming into something else, and repeat forever. We still lost, but not through my fault. I don't think I died.
So what you mean is there's armadas, or?
No, there's not armadas.
Is it a ship versus ship?
It's always a ship. Well, it's I think you can just do one ship versus one ship, but I think most servers are 3v3.
Okay.
So you usually have one galleon and 2 smaller ships.
Right, gotcha.
But I mean, it's been fun. It's been a fun game to play, and then I've been on a couple of ships where people haven't been taking it as seriously.
That's probably healthier.
Weirdly, I tend to find that British people have been taking it much more seriously than anybody else. So I'm hearing a lot of sort of like Eastern European accents. Who a lot of they guys have been quite good fun.
Because let's say there's no naval history in Europe as such.
It's intriguing to
Whereas for some Britons, that's probably a very, very precious history.
I think you get a precious little hard-on about.
And I've had a lot of like American people that have been quite a good laugh as well. But also quite a lot of American trolls I've found. There's one thing you can do to really annoy any captain, which is, I probably shouldn't be saying this.
You don't.
But now that you've said it,
which is to sit on top of the wheel with a supply box in your hand, because you basically block the captain's view. So if you want to troll the captain of your ship, just go and do that.
That just sounds boring, though.
But yeah, it's just one of those things where people will do it because they're streaming on Twitch and it's funny.
But that's not funny. Like, for me to watch something, say somebody do something in a game, a troll has to be visually appealing to me who's not playing the game. And if it's not visually appealing, then your troll's failed. That's one for all you trollers out there. That's why Chris is good at it, because he makes stupid things happen.
Oh yeah, I try and do the stupidest thing I can possibly find. I wouldn't say I'm a troll. I just like to find.
You like to muck about.
I like to find the most stupid thing in a game and do that.
So when I've mentioned about cardinal sins and the like, I do like immersion in my games, and I do like playing single player campaigns, possibly because there are people like you out there.
Well, I mean, I do see, like.
Would you not be entertained by me?
I would be entertained. Yes, I wouldn't.
Would I break your immersion?
I would probably sacrifice immersion for one evening just to be entertained by you.
You would have 2 streams of games going. You would have the one where you're playing it properly, and then the one where you're playing it with Chris.
Properly is the key word here. Yes.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I do, from the sounds of the game. Like, I mean, if you had a bunch of people that are into that thing for whatever reason, then fair enough. I think it would be a good one to role play, as because it's you have to act as a team and you have to sort of do that. I mean. Not to say you couldn't just do that with a bunch of mates, but I can see that adding an extra layer of fun for the naval enthusiast.
For some reason, I tend to think that if this was a PvE game, it would be much easier for a team of people to actually roleplay. But because this is PvP as such, tensions go high. I've never seen in World of Warcraft
people take it way too seriously when it's
PvP role-playing server, because if you play PvP, you essentially either troll others or gank others or whatever other wording.
I think they exist, though.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't go on one.
It's a very, very strange combination, isn't it?
Okay, well, yeah, so that's Black Week, and it's, like I say, it is fun, but I just wish that there were some servers that, I mean, there might be out there. There might be some more light-hearted servers where people aren't taking it too seriously. And in fact, actually, the role-playing server was the most fun one. Because the other ones that was the ones where people were taking it way too seriously for my liking.
The non-role-playing?
The non-role-playing ones, aye. But the role-playing ones, people seemed much more up for a laugh. So, Black Week, that's by a small indie company called Massfire Studios. And yeah, this game is early access, and it shows. Like, there are a lot of glitches and bugs in this game, so you're just going to have to deal with it. But it's as good as it is, and they're planning on adding a lot more.
So hang fire, folks. Wait and get that when it's actually out properly.
And if somebody sits in front of you, that's Chris.
It's not me. I don't do that. That's just a
We've established
stupid thing to do. Okay, so let's wrap the show up here. We will give out all our internet stuff. So our email address, if you want to email us and ask us questions or whatever that we can answer on the show, then send that to firstplayertoken@gmail.com. That's FIRST Player Token. We are on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Those are all First Player Token, or, well, the large and unnecessary First Player Token. The exception of that being Twitter, which is @1ST Player Token.
So we once Player Token if you're confused by that in any way.
Thank you, Euan. We have a website. Look, I said I'd fix it last week. I'm going to fix it this week as well.
Don't keep compounding the promise with more promises.
This is my plan. I'm just
you could have just said it last week and then never mentioned it again.
Maybe I have fixed it. I'm just trolling. But that's
Stop
www.firstplayertoken.com.
You're ruining my immersion.
We have a Discord. You can ask us for the link for that. And my Twitch username is Unnecessary Chris if you want to watch us playing some board games live, and also I stream video games on it. And we are part of the Podnose Network,
the UK's leading entertainment podcast network, who very kindly put us forward for the British Podcast Awards. I don't know why I laugh when I say that. This is a nice thing.
We were going to get 3 votes, but unfortunately my compatriots decided not to vote, so we have 1 currently because I voted.
You vote? Alright, so you're the one person who voted, because I didn't even vote for us.
Well, I was only became aware because head honcho George Grimwood put out a wee note saying, oh, by the way, it was Strange Times, I think, because it's probably one of the more high-profile podcasts, and it's quite well produced. It's got some good segments in it. He was sort of trying to get a bit of a push for people to vote for that, so I was like, fine, why not? I'll go on there. And then there's a thing on the website, and I realised he's put forward all the ones that are any ones that meet the criteria, which is basically if you've you have to have had at least 6 episodes in the last 12 months or something like that. It's not too difficult.
We have achieved that.
So it's nice to be at least thought of.
We've been recognised as
nominated.
A podcast.
I know, yeah. Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Somebody has admitted that we exist.
Good. They've seen the RSS feed and they've been forced to say yes. Well,
yes,
this is a podcast.
Okay, so we will be back. If you want more video game chat, and Pawel will talk about Mass Effect in a couple of weeks' time.
You will.
Which means it's going to be an episode solely devoted to Mass Effect and nothing else.
Yeah, I'm going to have to read up on Mass Effect.
So that'll be a couple of weeks' time for episode 47, but we will be back next week with episode 46, which will be a board games episode.
Whee!
So we'll see you then. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye!
Bye!